Okay, I'm going to run through the project constraints for creating a laser cut head for your lamp design. Now, this is what we previously did in Year 9. We created a very basic head design. Inside of that head needs to house the LED strip. So the LED strip is quite thin, but it is actually mounted on a piece of aluminium. So your teacher will show you that in class. The aluminium is important because it's kind of takes the heat away from the electronic component. Obviously, we don't want to stick it straight to the timber because I guess you don't want the timber to heat up and become a fire issue. The other thing we can notice about the existing head is that there's a hole to take the cord away. So once this is mounted up into the groove, which we used to manually cut, the cords would go into that hole and through, and then it would follow the lamp stand down and through a hole at the back. So we're still going to have to cater for that wire that goes down there. So what we want to do is we're going to delete this manual component here. We won't do it that way because it doesn't work. We'll delete it here. And we want to create something more unique. Now, the good thing about the laser cutter is we can be creative without having to worry about getting our fingers near the cutting blades of the machinery. So curves are going to come out really nicely. We can use a layering kind of technique here. So we're limited to about 8 or 9 millimeters pine. So I've used 3 layers in this design. You can see I just put in that LED strip, so I've kind of created a housing for it to sit in that position. I've got a groove up the back here where the cord's going to come out, and we will have to manually drill these holes later on the drill press or a cordless drill in the workshop. We can't cut in a downwards action and then also through the flat direction or horizontal direction with the laser cutter. It's a top-down process, so it will only kind of cut from the top down. So I've assembled the lamp head now onto the base. That's what it will look like. You can see the layers in the design, so I have to cut those 3 layers. I'm going to go about now creating this, and I'll show you how I did it. Firstly, create a new design. Make sure you've saved that design. So I've got it in a location. It's my laser cutting testing folder. I've titled it Lamp Head 3. I've only got a 3 there because it's my 3rd attempt at this. And we're going to start drawing the lamp head. So I'm going to create a new sketch. I'm going to start on the bottom plane. And first thing I want you to think about is it needs to fit within a certain size. So the material we're going to give you for the laser cutter is 130 millimeters high by 180 millimeters. So each profile that you create has to fit within that size, 130 by 180. So I've deleted that sketch now, and we're going to start afresh. I'm going to create a new sketch. I'm going to select that same top profile. And the first thing we're going to sketch is the thing that connects to the existing lamp. We've got 12 millimeters thickness here, and we're going to actually make this 11.7. Because the laser cutter cuts right on the line and removes a bit of material when it cuts, 11.7 is going to be the right size for this connecting part. To do this, we are going to use a center point rectangle. So down here, center point rectangle, we're going to put that 11.7 in here, and then tab, and I'm going to use 30 millimeters and enter. Now from here, we're going to offset. So let's find, we can use center point rectangle again. So let's go back in here. And we're going to make a larger rectangle. So this time, I'm just going to click and I'm going to press D for dimension. And we're going to put 12 in there. Let's see what happens when we pull this way. So you can see that kind of brings both sides in. I'm going to use a tool here which is called collinear, which is this one here. If I click that blue line and then this one, it will snap together. Now there's lots of lines going everywhere here, but essentially what I'm trying to get to is this center one's 11.7. The outside are both 12. Now if I go finish sketch and extrude, we only want these two pieces here. So we select the profile and bring that up to 8mm. Press enter. So now we've got that, we can create another profile. So I'm going to go sketch here. I'm going to click the top component, either one's fine. And I can start drawing the lamp head. So I'm going to use a construction line out in this direction here. I'm going to click that line and open up my sketch palette and click construction line. I'm just going to press escape now, and then I'm going to make my lamp head circular. So I'm going to create a circle like this and make sure it connects to one of these parts. It will be this one here. Now remember, the maximum size we're going to use for the lamp is 130. So I'll put 130 in here. And that looks good. Finish sketch. I'm going to press E for extrude. We'll select the button. And we're going to go downwards this time, -8. Make sure the operation here is join, not cut. Okay, so you can see now we're kind of piecing this together with the 11.7 gap in between here and here. You might want to add a detail at the front here, so I'm going to click here and create a new sketch. I'm going to use the circle tool here, and actually I'm not going to do it there, I'm going to do it on the side here. Like a little kind of 35mm indent there, which looks like a finger groove, I guess. Now at this point you can just be creative. There's no right or wrong with this. Just what looks cool. This line here, I've just put connecting to the two centers, and if I use this one here, horizontal, vertical, it'll snap it kind of to the be symmetrical each side. And then I'm going to use finish sketch, extrude away both of these sides. I didn't want that center, so I'll try it one more time. Have to be careful about what you select, and then I'm going to cut that through. So that's basic enough for what I'm trying to demonstrate. So that's my first piece. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate that. So in this menu here, expand the bodies, and body 1, right click and go create component from bodies. So now this component here is listed in this as this component here. I'm going to right click it and I'm going to go copy. And then I'm going to come up to the top and right click and go paste. But instead of paste, I'm going to go paste new. Now I'm going to pull this one downwards, and that's going to be my next layer. So if I click OK, I'm going to pull that one out of the way. I've got two exactly the same layers, and this one here is my component 2 or layer 2. I'm going to activate it, and then I'm going to sketch on it. Capture position, and I can choose what I want to do to that. So I'm going to put a center line through first. I'm going to put a circle in the middle. I'll put a dimension on that. I'm going to use my center point rectangle again to remove a bit more material out of here, so 35. Another one, center point rectangle, 35. And I might want to put a dimension from here to here, 100. So now if I finish the sketch and I extrude all these components out and extrude it the whole way through, we have got like an inside layer. I'm going to come up to the top here again and highlight this top dot. So you can see this layer will stack on top of the other layer. If you want to do this the proper way, what we do is we go into join here, and I'll select a point that's the same on each. So this one here to this one here. I'll bring them together. This is in a rotation movement, but I'll lock it in as a rigid. So you can see my 2-layer design. The next thing I can do is I can come down to here and I can right click and go copy, and then back up to the top, right click, paste new. And I've got a third component, so layer 1, layer 2 and layer 3. I can do that joining technique again. And I've got a head design for my lamp. So you can be a bit more creative than this. The key for creating these though is a top-down process, so you need to make sure that it's only a profile. We don't want to start creating things with fillets on it, so like this here, if I put like a round over edge there, because the machine's going to get confused and it's going to want to cut right through with this line and right through with this line. So it's going to be like quite sharp and bulky kind of edges. We don't need to put the hole through here yet. We don't need to put the hole through here yet. Just think about layers that will be able to be cut with a laser cutter, and I'm sure your teacher will go through it a little bit more in class about what's appropriate design. The next video I'm going to show you is how to prepare your laser cutting. So you can see here I've got my 3 separate layers that I'm going to laser cut. Then we'll take them into the workshop and continue to do the sanding to round things off, and gluing to assemble together, and drilling to assemble it to the rest of your lamp.